Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel, Doom Productions. And if you weren't aware, Ethan and I recently took a trip out to Chicago to meet up with a bunch of other filmmakers. We met up with the guys from 922 Films, and we flew out with the RC Films guys. And while we were there, we shot a bunch of videos. We got to hang out and meet them and talk with them and collaborate. And what you're going to see today is a video that Ethan and Joel made.
Yeah, so Joel, Dick, and I, we're both the cinematographers for our respective film groups, so it was fun to get to chat with him about his approach to shooting movies for 922 Films, and then my approach for shooting with Doom Productions over with Jordan. So getting to talk to us about our processes, what we like to focus on, and what's important to us as cinematographers, because our approaches are pretty different from one another, so it's great having this different voice. And before you go check out that video, if there's any of these other videos you want to see from our trip to Chicago, there's going to be a little link you can click on where you can see the rest of those videos. You can watch Jordan talk to Joel Dick about film school, and also filmmaker hangouts where we all kind of discuss. And there's also a big live stream we did if you want to check that out too.
Make sure you go check out 922 Films because we made a bunch of videos that are going to be posted on their channel, and we're going to be popping up in some of their videos, so you definitely want to keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, so with all that out of the way, enjoy this interview with Joel Dick from 922 Films.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Doom Productions, home of the No Budget Film School, and today we have a special guest with us, and that is Joel Dick from 922 Films, and he's the cinematographer that works alongside Dan Lotz on their feature films, and this is just kind of a fun talk to discuss about, you know, cinematography between the two cinematographers of our channels. So I guess I'm just going to ask first, how'd you get into cinematography, actually?
You know, Dan one day woke up and said, Joel, you're the one. No, that's not how it went. No, I just picked up a camera. It was fun. Speech and Debate is where Dan and I met, and a buddy we just started shooting stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I just ended up being the guy behind the camera.
Yeah, I can relate.
And, you know, Dan has this very important directorial take on things. You know, he always has to be the guy that's in control, but he doesn't know the specifics of the camera sometimes. So, you know, I just sort of filled in, and then, you know, and then it sort of just, you know, it went from there. I really like photography, and so it's just sort of led into me just having an interest in it.
That's
and
awesome.
It sort of just worked.
Yeah. No, we have similar stories. That's exactly how I kind of got into it too. Because I was originally an actor, and then I got brought behind the camera more and more, and then all of a sudden I was like, I need to buy a camera right now. I got to do this. But no, it's super cool. And so now that you're kind of an established cinematographer in the 922 Films world, what's kind of your favorite takes and stuff that you do when you're shooting? Like, do you have like a style you really like to gravitate towards, or you kind of like to try things out and you'll do anything?
Yeah, I think like the improv style, I think is more or less what I do in terms of cinematography. It's more just like the folk filmmaking thing is just going out and doing it and figuring it out.
Yeah.
On set, basically. Yeah. It's probably how I describe it the most. You go on set and you just, what looks good? And I don't know, when I look at a screen, I just say, okay, no, I don't like that, and then I'll try something else.
Yeah.
And then, from there it just goes.
I know we talked about this earlier, but I'm going to harken back to it. Let's say you're going to be shooting tomorrow. What happens? How do you prepare? Is there any prepping you do, or is it just you get a good night's sleep and show up on set and do it? Like, what's the kind of the process for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I went to film school, so, you know, they teach you, okay, you know, pre-visualize, write the script, have everything, storyboards, all this stuff. And I think for the first couple of projects we did, I tried that. Yeah. And I was behind the computer, I had the screen open, I had the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, and then you get to like the 10th shot, and then I was like, no. Yeah. This ain't gonna work.
Totally.
So towards the end, it was just Dan would say, "All right, you call me up. All right, Joel, it's time. We got to get 3 scenes done. We got to get the scene where this guy goes into this room, and then there's this conflict with this character.
Yeah.
And then, okay, you ready for? And then with 2 more scenes, and then, okay, you ready for that? I was like, sure. So that I would end the call, and then I would just sort of, before I went to bed, I would just sort of visualize in my head what Dan was talking about, what the scene was about.
Totally.
And I would sort of visualize, okay, how would I cover it? And then I'd wake up, I'd go to the set, and it would just be a checklist of things. In order to get a shot, you got to have your camera ready. You got to have your rig set up. You got to have all the cords connected. You got to, okay, where's the location going to be? Okay, it's going to be in this room. So then after that, it was just a checklist. Once we got that checklist done, 9 out of 10 times, it was a good shot.
Yeah.
Dan would come by, look at the shot. All right, looks fine. Let's do it.
Cool.
And that was it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Because we're kind of similar and opposite. Because Jordan and I, we're pretty big on storyboarding, and I went through a phase where I was shot listing when I was starting out, like directing my own stuff more or less. But quickly I found that just didn't work for me. I just got lazy with it really quick. But storyboarding has kind of been our happy medium of like doing that. But at the same time, like when Jordan and I will show up on set, sometimes it'll be like, I just want a medium shot of this character, and it's like, all right, I'm just gonna get what I think looks good of a medium shot, and we'll just finagle it from there. But yeah, that's kind of, I like that balance of like knowing what I'm gonna get on set, but also like, I'll just make it up.
I think it just depends on what you like to do as a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with. A lot of people they have such a specific vision in their mind, they have to have it all written out.
Oh yeah.
And certain people are more like, me and Dan, which is sort of, okay, well, we sort of know what we want to do. Let's just set the camera up. If it looks good, proceed.
And I think there's a great freedom, and if you're just the cinematographer, you can totally show up on set and have that kind of impromptu thing. I know when I was working on The Bell Rings, being the director, an actor, and a cinematographer for it, it's like you can't dedicate that much of your brain power to any of those jobs. So it's like I have to draw this out just so that like that part of my brain doesn't have to function as much.
True.
So I think that's where I kind of had to balance it out. But also like I think I ever want to have all three of those roles going on at one time again. That was just like more than I feel like I needed to do.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did it. I think it's a great experience and like a good challenge for anyone who's kind of, especially as cinematographers, like you have to like really dig into all your like skills and stuff. But
I think just being a cinematographer itself has a lot of mental stress.
Yeah.
Having to do the directing job and acting on top of that, I can't imagine the mental strain you were going through on set.
I mean, it's fun though, and I mean, like the best part is when you're like, okay, no, this at least looks really good. I hope the acting and everything else comes together, but I know this is a great shot. But
so of the projects you've worked in terms of cinematography specifically, are there projects where you did one completely improv and the other one you just have everything down to the T prepared beforehand? And if so, which one did you like more? Which one did you think it was better to do it that way? And why?
Yeah. So I kind of have, I think I'll bring up 3 examples. So my oldest thing that I can remember like planning shots for specifically was the short film I made called 8, which is years and years old. I don't even know if it's still public on our channel. I have to check, but I don't particularly love that movie narrative-wise, but I remember that was the first time I was like writing down like scene by scene, like, okay, I need this shot, this shot, this shot, and it was the first time I shot listed anything. And that I just was like, I think that movie turned out all right in terms of the look, but I definitely like was still finding my footing. But fast forwarding now, I think the 2 that stand out for me are House, which is where the shots were not planned at all, and I just had to do them in the moment. Like, all right, to show up, make the shot as quick as possible because there was also a time constraint, and then just do my best to make it look good. And then there's Video Carnage, which was like very meticulously storyboarded by Jordan, and then we would show up on set and make sure everything looked as good as possible, both in like a coloring wise, but also like just a blocking and all of that. There was a lot of moving pieces in Video Carnage, and I think if I had to pick one, Video Carnage is definitely the one that I think is like one of my strongest works, because again, I think just all the pieces really gelled at their best in that, where the color was like really intentional and we had a lot of thought put into that, but also the camera angles and trying to get really creative with how we shoot scenes. It was just like, and we got to kind of cram all of the things we wanted to do into that. Like we had handheld, we had long takes, we had tripod shots, which I'm really big on tripods. Jordan's really big on handheld. But handheld is great if you're trying to move fast. And that's a time when I'm always like, if it's go time, like, all right, tripods are out of the question.
That's cool balance though, between handheld and the tripod.
And it's always kind of knowing like, we're pretty like adamant on, if you have a plan, it helps you know when you can like cut corners. Because I know that like, okay, I would rather the scene be handheld or maybe on a tripod, but if I don't have time or we're like getting up against the clock here, it's like, all right, I think this scene will play out just as fine if it's handheld, and then we can cut down on this. So like knowing where you can cut corners or like on lighting or any of that, like that's where I think the planning becomes really good, because then you're not like getting your footage in post and you're like, oh, why did I do that? Like that was a dumb mistake. Like I missed this or that. It kind of helps you like kind of stay grounded in the project more, having that planning. But at the same time, improving your shots. I think once you get to a certain level, it just becomes really easy and second nature. And I think both of you and I can kind of relate to that, where it's just like, yep, I know what shots I need to get, and I can just show up on set and feel confident. There were plenty of days on Bell Rings where that was the case, where it's like, it'll look good. I'm sure we'll find a shot. It'll be fine.
Yeah. and sometimes you're just in the location where you can point the camera anywhere, and it's cool.
And sometimes you don't know your location ahead of time. Like we were filming at a park where I didn't have a chance to go out beforehand and shoot, so we were like walking through it, and I would just be like, oh, I hope we find a good spot soon. Like I didn't storyboard this because I don't know what we're shooting in or what kind of conditions. I have a general idea of what I would like it to look like, but having to like be on your toes with it. And I think photography is a great place to get that, where you're like so at the mercy of everything. Like you're just showing up somewhere and hoping you find good stuff. I think that's a great practice for people who are going into cinematography, is just taking one good picture. Like you don't have to worry about 24 frames a second, just one frame, make that as good as possible. And I think that translates so well over into your cinematography work.
Yeah, I mean, two of the basic things you need to know is composition and exposure. And both of those things you have to nail in photography. So that's why I think photography is a fantastic thing to learn. Even if you never want to just do photography by itself as a cinematographer, that's something you're going to always get.
And even as a director, I think it's a great skill to have, because then you can communicate with your cinematographer. If you don't know the language that you're trying to communicate with, it makes it take that much more time to convey what you want. So having a director that has at least a decent idea of what they want, that helps so much with everyone else's process. So if you're a director, I think it's valuable to have some grasp of that.
Yeah, going back to the the improv as opposed to like more controlled and everything's done in planning and all that stuff. Chlorine and Long Con were just the exact opposite. Long Con was, we had the script, we had everything sort of figured out, we had all the scenes sort of figured out. It was in a set location. We really couldn't move too far away from that. And then, Chlorine was, we could go anywhere. It could be outside, it could be inside, it could be whatever we wanted it to be. And it was just sort of flying off the seat of our pants and just whatever worked. And I will say, doing improv in terms of, for me now, doing improv cinematography is a lot more fun for me. I will say that, because who wants to be sitting down writing a whole spreadsheet of this shot and that shot and having to analyze it all? It gets really complicated. But obviously, there's drawbacks to both. I feel like whenever I watch Long Con, that control, I feel a little more accomplished because there were so many more decisions that I made while on set that, it made a little more sense, as opposed to Chlorine. It was like, we just got to get the shot. We don't have time. We needed to get it done. But it's weird how that is. It's just a lot easier to do and a lot more, you enjoy yourself a little more, but at the cost of you lose control over a lot of shots that you had a specific mindset and you can't make it happen because there's just not enough time.
I mean, both of them are just great learning experiences, and I think everyone should try both and see what they like, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to be in both situations at some point, and I mean, you're going to always show up on set at some point and have to make it up as you go, and having that muscle built up is so great. But at the same time, it's really nice having that cushion of like, I know what I'm shooting today and I don't have to worry about it too much. It's a great skill for everyone to learn who's getting into cinematography. Well, thank you so much, Joel, for being on the Doom Production Show, and the Doom Production Show. You've cover called it that before. On
your show, baby.
What is this even? Well, where can people find you? Where's your work at?
922 Films.
We're going to have a link up here so you guys can check that out, and link in the description as well. Go check out Chlorine, Long Con, all the stuff that 922 Films does. They've got some incredible work. You probably already know about them, but if you don't, you've got some great movies ahead of you to watch. So until next time, guys, see you later.